Hello, and thank you for joining me on another painting session. Going to be doing another screenshot from, yeah, you guessed it, Dune. When I first saw this in the trailer, I was blown away. It's like perfect composition. It just looks like a piece of concept art you'd see in like a art of book. I remember I was just like immediately like, yes, this film is going to be awesome. So decided as a little cool down, we're going to paint a study of it. I'll keep it to about 20 to 30 minutes, so let's jump in. Not going to be doing any colour picking this time. So I'm just going to be using the colour slider here for our colour and values. So again, just muddy up that canvas. Get some of that orange in there, and then change the hue to a bit warmer. Just trying to match the light and the shadow. No details, just muddying up the canvas and just getting some tones on the page. Increase the saturation a little bit. Let's switch to the airbrush. See, I normally don't first go in with the airbrush, but once I've got a little bit of texture, I'll then go in and then use it to lay in my big areas of light and shadow and shape. Like this. I'll start to block in the main shape of the spice harvester in a second. Just keep changing the hue and the saturation. Just get nice colour and saturation variety. That's going to make it nice and painterly, which is what we want. And then got our spice harvester here. Let's switch brush actually. Just big brush strokes to start with. That's all you need. No detail. Just get in those big shapes and those main sections of light and shadow. Just rough as hell. I'm just going to roughly put in the silhouettes of the Fremen down there. Just be really, really rough. Oops. Any mistakes like that, don't even bother pressing undo. Just switch to the smudge brush there. Just all becomes part of the painting. Right, let's change the brush. Actually, let's go back to the airbrush. Let's bring up the light orange a little bit. I don't really want it to be an exact copy of this, but I just want to capture, mainly just want to capture the atmosphere of the scene. That's why I love this film so much, because it's got some serious atmosphere. Just epic scale, big simple shapes. Always works the best. Right. Maybe I'll start to build up some of these lights around here. And kind of all go in this circle shape, don't they? I just love stuff like this because it's like, even though we know what a spice harvester looks like, from this shot it's just completely just suggested. That's why films like, I think like Cloverfield springs to mind, is like you don't even see the monster until the very end. And that's what makes it just a much better film. Humans like mystery, they don't like everything just spelled out for them. Unless you're stupid, of course. Sorry. Okay. So again, your eye goes to that, and then it leads you in to here. Perfect composition. Right, I need to lighten this up. Maybe I'll just do a brightness and contrast. Right, start to work on the shape of this harvester. And there's another little, I think there's like another one coming down there. Right, I'm going to switch to my trusty cloud brush. And let's splodge a few clouds up and around here. To be a bit more saturated, that. If I lower the opacity of the brush, you can really use it as like a, how would it be? It'll be like dry brushing, I suppose. Like you're brushing with like hardly any paint, but it allows you to just like slowly build up colour, which is great for these very subtle atmospheric pieces like this, just to be able to slowly build it all up like this. A bit more light, warmer light over here. Right, let's go in and start doing a little bit of detail. Okay. You can start kind of picking out bits of the shape of this machine. Again, most of it is obscured by dust and atmosphere, but you can just imply little parts of machine, and I'll probably take some artistic liberties with this. Maybe just like, for example, over here, just add some tiny little highlights, just indicating bits of machinery. Very subtle. Let's increase these lights as well. Shift the hue up more to yellow and then crank it right up. Maybe I'll use the airbrush for this. Like that. And some tiny little lights in there. Now these ones down here aren't really as bright, so I'll decrease the value. Again, I'm not looking to do it exactly like how in the film. It's just my version of it. Which is, I guess, why you can call it fan art. It's a fan art study. Boom! Doesn't take long to get something looking pretty interesting. Right, I think I want to work on our silhouettes down there a little bit. I'm actually just going to erase these guys because they're so bad. I'm not even going to use it. Let's get this brush. And then let's decrease the opacity and the flow. And paint in his little stick. These are quite easy silhouettes because they're both in like desert robes. So it really is just, there you go, look. No legs needed. Easy. Just signify the shoulders and the head sticking out. And then the arm. I need to make this staff a little bit thinner. So you've got to imagine someone's hand has got to go around it. There's the hand poking out the other side there. Okay, next one. Again, nice and easy silhouette. This is exactly how most concept art from like 10 years ago looked. You had a little guy in a robe, just because it's easier to quickly draw someone in a robe. When it comes to concept art. Boom. All right, let's keep going. think I'm going to stay with my low opacity, and then I'm just going to work on these values a little bit. So you've got some bits that should be dark, but they're looking a bit too light. I want to blend some of these edges as well. This whole piece is just very, very blendy. There's not many hard edges. It's all quite soft. Like this. Right, and let's really build up these light beams here. So again, really low opacity. You can just slowly, you can see like one stroke, like basically nothing's happening, but you just build up the strokes. The strokes. Need a little bit more dark saturation down by here as well. It's looking a little bit too light. It's okay. Just go back in there, darken it up again. Maybe I'll use a soft light layer, and then that will act as like an overlay. It's not going to affect our painting underneath too much, but you can add like a nice warm, there you go, look, it just warms it up a little bit. Nice. Right, let's keep going. I want to add some big brush strokes. So let's just get some nice painterly brushes. So we can add some nice texture. So I have a more painterly look. Which, if anyone knows my art, that's what I kind of like to achieve. Even though I use a lot of, 3D in my work sometimes, and obviously I mostly paint on a digital medium, I still like to get it looking nice and brush strokey. Just little bits of texture like this make all the difference. Digital mediums are great these days. The brushes really do simulate traditional media quite well. And you can just fire it up and then just start painting. Like, I do a little bit of traditional painting in my sketchbook, and it's always just really messy. But you get more of a level of satisfaction from it, I've got to say. So it is always worth it. But when it comes to working for a profession, it's just not practical. Especially like me, sometimes I'm moving about quite a lot, so it's nice just to have everything in my laptop bag. Right, smudge it around a little bit. How long has it been? 20 minutes already, wow. Let's work on this shape a little bit more. It's supposed to be a little bit wider than this. Signify some detail down here. And then maybe this isn't actually in the image, but let's add a little bit of the desert floor being illuminated by these lights down here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Right, again with some texture, a rough bristle brush. Oops. And it's just going to kind of give us that sand look, because they are on sand dunes, hence the film title. I'd say I'm almost happy with that. I do think this whole thing needs just pushing into the background a little bit more. Like this. So do these guys as well. See, instant atmosphere. Boom. Go up more to yellow. Get that really bright light going. Nice. Let's do another soft light layer, and let's bring out some more of this light here. Maybe less saturated than that. There you go, that's the one. Boom. Nice, looking pretty cool. Now, you do need some unsaturated sections as well, otherwise it's just going to end up way too overly saturated. So like here, it's almost like looking a little bit grey, and that's what you want. Just so you've got a nice mix of saturated parts and unsaturated parts. Normally the most saturated is your focal points. And let's get that cloud brush again. Go back in to this section. Paint in some clouds. Maybe take some creative liberties with some stuff going on down here. Cool. Let's play with the levels quickly. Oh, so it wants So instead of manually doing it, instead of automatically doing it, you can kind of manually do it. So it wants more dark and more light. So let's make this a little bit darker here. And then this guy, because it's a focal point, bring in some darker values. Like this. And then make sure I get my full range of light and just save it for the final 5% of the painting. And then that's going to give you your full contrast then. And then your eye is really drawn to that bit. And then if you go back onto levels, it's looking a lot better. Maybe a little bit darker there. And then that like that. Let's give it a flip. Okay, now I'm just going to probably do like 20 more minutes of detail and then call that one done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.